My name is Nico Van Slyke, and you are listening to the Coursen's Corner. Before I start, I wanted to tell you this because it's super important for me to always lead with just letting you know how I feel about you. And so, people like you go on Instagram. When I first met you, before I met you, I was like, this motherfucking alpha motherfucker right here. He is scary. He likes guns. He's like your typical alpha. And then I met you and you could turn it off so good. Like not that it's on or off. It's just like you make people feel protected. You make people feel safe. And that's what I love about you most. And I'm so grateful to have you in my corner. I
appreciate that.
In the course, I'm in the Coursen's corner.
You're literally in the Coursen's corner.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the things I've always appreciated about you is your ability to you're a magnet everywhere you go. You have that, when they talk about that it factor with politicians or the top CEOs or, the mavens of whatever industry they're in, they always have that it factor. And it's always that charismatic quality that people are just innately drawn to.
Gotcha.
Is that something you were born with, or is that something that you've learned to cultivate over time? Or both?
I don't know. I took I think it was a Myers-Briggs test.
Okay.
A while back. It was either the Myers-Briggs. I've taken a lot of these assessments, the Kiersney, the Myers-Briggs, the Berkman, all these different tests. And one of my top 5, so number 1 strength was developer, but the number 2 had I forgot the exact name, but it had to do with, it was like a maximizer. That was 2 or 3. And so with a developer, you start to look at other people's strengths. It's something it's something, I don't know if it's natural, but it's just something you do. You look at oh my gosh, look at his strength. I could develop what this person's capable of doing through that strength. And I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. Because it tells you your strengths with those 5, your top 5, and one of them, it's as a leader, your strength as a student, your strength as an employee, your strength in life.
Right.
And so as someone who's leading out a team or an organization, that was really cool for me.
Yes. Now, do you notice that when you're building your teams that oh, I need a leader, I need a follower, I need a detail person, I need a visionary, I need a...
No, I think they all just, it comes out naturally,
right.
When, just how they are. But when I'm recruiting, for whatever reason, if you look at the people that I've recruited into my business, they all have massive leadership qualities. And it didn't start that way. And I think it's because of you start to attract who you are over time, right? At first, I was attracting people in my business. For those who don't know, I run a sales organization. So at one point, we went from 34 sales reps in my organization to nearly, maybe a little bit over 500.
Over how long? How short or long a time?
13 months.
That's substantial growth.
Yeah, it was freaking nuts.
Was that intentional?
No, it just happened. People just caught on and social media, and just people were making a lot of money, getting excited,
right.
learning a skill set. We turned door knocking. In my opinion, it was we turned something that's very unsexy, very lonely, very when you think of a door-to-door salesperson, you're oh, hell no, I'm not doing that shit.
Right.
Into something that was sexy. And we turned this culture into just a machine, and it was freaking badass. But as I was saying is when I go back to when I started this, with the people that I was attracting to my business were people that quit, people that were half-assed, people that had ability but didn't tap into their true potential. It went from that into people that are committed, they're loyal, they're dedicated. And I'd like to, just from hearing from my mentors and stuff like that, I like to think it's because I've been more committed, more loyal, more dedicated, focusing on the right things. And that's why I'm so freaking lucky and so grateful to have certain leadership within my organization.
Yeah. I want to talk about 2 things. I want to go back to your fascination with personal growth and personal development. And then I want to kind of turn that into team building dynamics on the back end of that. So when you're doing these personality inventories or the Myers-Briggs. Did you ever get into like any of the like the human design work, or like you're using words like helper, maximizer, developer?
Yeah.
You know, human design uses words like projector and what are some of the other ones that I'm not thinking of?
Generator,
Manifesting generator,
Oh.
manifesting generator. And when I first took that, they had a thing at Soho. It was like a human design intro course.
Okay.
I went with Justin and Genevieve and sat
course.
through it. Right. And we sat there and it was like, but as it kind of detailed out like the personality traits, it was like, oh yeah, this is me.
Yeah.
It just kind of helps to solidify and validate that which you already knew.
Sure.
So when you were taking those tests yourself, did you have like an aha moment, or was this I pretty much already knew this, but how do I put it into practice?
I go, I'm like, so there's times where I'm super unconfident. Like it's like I'm super not confident, and I don't know where that stems from.
Is that situational dependent?
Yeah, situational for sure. But so when I take this, I'm more open. And so my mentor, Erwin McManus, like I don't know what's going to be the outcome. I'd love to say this is my outcome, but this might not be who I am. I don't know, you know. And I'm leaning into like becoming more confident. But Erwin's like, the best part about some of these tests that we're taking, or these tests that we're taking, is like, it doesn't lie because you're answering it yourself.
Right.
It's like your answer. So like, how can it lie? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess there's always the possibility of answering how you wish you were versus how you are.
Sure.
Like there's one we had to take when I was working for the government called the Massachusetts MMPPI. It's the Massachusetts Multiphasic Personality Inventory. And it's like 10,000 questions.
Oh, that's crazy.
Mostly about how much do you love your mother. But the way the test is formed, it's so that you can't lie. You know what I mean? So if like the way you answer this question, they're going to ask you the same exact question,
again,
just rephrased
sure.
so many times, so that at a certain point you just have to answer honestly.
Sure.
And you kind of get a pretty authentic read of yourself.
Yeah.
Or at least they get a pretty authentic read of you from that.
Sure.
But has that kind of, like, you started off in like the fitness industry, right? Weren't you like you're bodybuilding or competing or personal training or something?
Yeah, I was training. I trained a sheik in Dubai.
Right.
So before that, I did Herbalife. I was in multi-level marketing.
That's right.
Met some client, or before that, I was working at Paramount Pictures, Plus One Studios. So as an intern, so I was working with on-set celebrity clients.
Were you looking to get into the entertainment business, or?
No, I just wanted to be a trainer. My first ever inspiration, like, rest in peace, his name was Greg Plitt. He was like the fitness figure back in the day. He was on every magazine, RX magazine. He was on everything. And I was in high school and I was like, I want to be like this guy.
Was he like an Arnold competitor guy?
No, he actually was in, he went to, what is that crazy, I don't know if it's Marine school on the East Coast. Oh, what is it called? I forgot the name of that. He was a Marine.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a Marine. Yeah. And he, he got out, and then he was like the first person to use YouTube and so like for fitness, social media. And that first person I saw to like use inspiration with fitness and combine them both, and like how take fitness and put it into your everyday life. And like, look, if you show up here, how can you not show
almost
up in
like
life?
a modern day Jack LaLange, like
you know, he was like a Ed Milet, Tony Robbins on the fitness side of things.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then he was on magazines. He got on shows. He was on like Bravo, a couple shows back in the day. And then I would go to, there was a Fit Expo in LA, and I would go every year just to go stand in line to go talk to him. And then what's crazy is after school, after college, after that intern, I worked at, it was not LA Fitness, 24 Hour Fitness as an assistant fitness manager in Burbank. And that's where he went. And it was cool. I was like, damn, this is crazy.
That's like the people at Collective now, like seeing all the athletes coming in and being like, oh, it's so cool.
Yeah. And so after that, I got connected, through a buddy of mine. Long story short, I moved to Dubai and I trained a sheik for a year and a half. And was my fitness career.
How did you enjoy living in Dubai?
It was cool at first. It's like
It's a
Dubai and Abu
fascinating.
Dhabi.
Yeah. Oh, the UAE just
It's nuts.
and
But
Total is rather
like out of
intense.
the 7 Emirates, like Sharjah, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Oman, all these places,
Qatar.
like like the 2 that were like a bubble, like they're literally like a globe.
Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when you go with those 2, it's like a different world. It's very materialistic.
Mm-hmm.
It's very futuristic. It's very not like anywhere else.
I mean, they literally have an indoor skiing.
Indoor skiing. They got Wi-Fi. The whole city is just outdoor Wi-Fi. They just have everything.
Yeah, you
It's
see the
crazy.
old photos of like Dubai in like 1975 and Dubai in like 2015. It's a night and day difference.
It's incredible. It's insane. It's a great place, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I got like, you just get caught into that lifestyle over time. Like it's just because you are who you surround yourself with, right? And so, but you're around a bunch of people who are just chasing that same life. And so I had to get out.
The people that surround you,
Mm-hmm.
it's you always hear that, like, oh, you're the average of like the 5 people you spend the most time with, or you're if you want to be in wealthy rooms, get around like whatever. But it's undoubtedly true.
Oh, dude,
my life has like
crazy.
Getting rid of riffraff and hanging around with more aspirational, more people whose
values are different,
whose values or that you're ascending to, or I spent a lot of my life in the more of the trenches, and then was the guy behind the guy for a while,
and
then it's been an interesting transition, like for where you and I are both in our like professional careers, to kind of like now be the people that people are aspiring to be like. It's both a blessing and a curse, because it's like you, on the one hand, it's like when you start getting higher up on that mountain, you have a lot more further to fall. But it's also nice to be able to like reach down and help others up where you were, you were stumbling.
There's way more pressure when you start to become, quote unquote successful than there is when you're on your way there.
Yeah.
Because way more pressure.
Do you find it? I'm curious if you people always think, oh, when I get like when I get more successful, when I get more money, when I get more notoriety, or it's going to be easier to date, to find like real relationships. I find it to be actually harder.
Yeah, because that's a good question. I think that you, like, for the first 7 years of like, I didn't have a girlfriend for like 7 years, because I was so caught up in just building, and then it becomes who you are, right? And so like you become you're you, but you're a higher version of yourself, like, and you're just building, and you're just like, you have like, for me, I had this crazy vision of what I wanted my life to look like, what I wanted my family's life to look like. I had a crazy vision of what my business was going to look like. And so you're chasing that, and then you get there, and then you're just like, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not, you know what I mean? Right. So it does become harder, for sure.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I don't want distractions. I don't,
Well, you're right. It's always easy to get laid, but it's harder to be loved.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. Because
take the emotions out of it.
Yeah. Because I've been like spending like you're a big manifester.
Oh, that's my number one thing, for sure.
Yeah. Do you do like the whole, like, I mean, I last year, or I guess it was 2 years ago, it was like right around the time like the book was coming out. But like I went whole vision board. I went like bestseller, Shelby truck. This is the house. This is the car. I went, and all of it came true.
Yeah. I've been making, I got to show you, but I've been making vision boards since I was in Herbalife. That was 10, 12 years ago. And then, or 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And then I went from there to now I have, I've had in my business now, I've had these 6 foot, 7 foot posters of where you mark off every day, like a workout. Say I need to work out 270 days or 270 days out of the 365, like a whole month calendar for every day. I need to read 60 books this year, write the books, and there's 60 slots, like all this stuff. I need to make this amount of income, write your income per week, per month, how far off you are. So everything's visualized. Dude, I used to be obsessed. It wasn't till this last year, I just write them down on paper. So they're printed, it's in my office, but it's also on my phone. And I just check in with that every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
yes,
Yeah, I do. I don't. Do you? So you do that with business as well? Like almost like
Everything.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you personal life, professional life, everything is managed, collated, trackable,
Yep.
manageable.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And so I mean, I'll show you after this,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like crazy, you know.
Yeah, I do like a dates drive. Let me rephrase that. Lauren does like a dates drivers and deliverables for like the business, and then she does that to like keep me on track. And I do a pretty good job on manifesting the things I want in life.
Sure.
Do you ever manifest relationships?
I do. Yeah.
I just started doing this like 6 months ago. In fact, the call we were on this morning, Tracy and Melissa have been really good at helping me with that. And so,
But not just like romantically. Relationships for new mentors, or in certain areas. Like I'm so grateful. I have like Edwin, our CEO of my company, who's now more like my best friend, you know, like he's like a brother to me. But there's areas where I go to him for mentorship, 100%. He's been through the trenches, you know? And then I have people like Erwin McManus, who there's people that he mentors that are literally changing the world. And they go to him, and even though he's out there, he's still very, very behind the radar. He would be like the Phil Jackson to the Michael Jordan or the Kobe Bryant, right? Like he's not the guy that's going to get all the attention. Those guys are going to get all the attention, but he coaches those kind of people. Like he coaches people that get a lot of attention. And like I just went to a mastermind with him 2 weeks ago in my cover, 3 weeks ago in at Rosewood. Remember I was telling you about it? And the people there, oh my gosh, I'm like, dude, he attracts some of the most incredible like world leaders that I know.
Yeah.
It's in the personal development, business development space.
Yeah, well, that's always crazy because the people who like the Tony Robbins of the world, the people who are like the CEO whisperers and like the billionaire whisperers and the maven whisperers, right? They have their own clout, and they're like, people know who Tony Robbins is, and people go to Tony Robbins, but you never hear Tony Robbins be like, well, you know, the president called me yesterday and wanted to know about X, Y, and Z, or you know, so I was on the phone with Elon, and but you know he is,
exactly.
But it's just,
but you know, the people that coach Tony Robbins, that's how I look at Erwin.
Who did coach Tony Robbins?
I don't know.
That's a good Jeopardy question. Like who is Tony Robbins' mentor?
That's a good question. I don't know, but that would be. He says it a couple times on.
Does he?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a Tony Robbins?
No.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I saw the Netflix. I'm not a guru, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
But
now I'm getting access to these people, and that's why it's like the personal development space changed my life, right? When I got out of the fitness industry, just real quick, I went, you know, I moved to the East Coast where my girlfriend at the time was living. And I was doing online fitness. That was Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then that's where her family was from. And then we stayed there for a couple months, and we moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, because she went to college nearby there. And it was like a great place for like online space.
Was it like Raleigh, Durham?
Yeah. Raleigh, Durham. Yep.
Yeah.
And so when I went there, I was doing fitness competitions, and I was doing personal training, but online stuff.
Right.
And
so what year was that? That was probably early online training adoption.
27. That would have been, I don't even know. I'm 35, 7 years ago. What is that? 2017? 2016?
Okay, so it was pretty commonplace then.
Yeah. And then I just fell out of love with all of it. Like I liked fitness for me, but it was like more of started becoming a hassle. I moved back to California. Me and my girlfriend split up at the time. I moved back to California. I tore my Achilles in a flag, and again, tore it in college.
Is it the same one you?
No, opposite.
Okay.
I tore this one playing flag football. Now I'm at my parents' house. I'm 28, 29, living at my parents' house with a torn Achilles, no income coming in. I made some really dumb investments. And so after about 4 months, to make it worse, I moved into my sister's house, my little sister, who was engaged. She was engaged. And it was crazy. I would lock myself in the room until like noon and not come out. Just like no motivation, nothing. Gained a bunch of weight. Just really, really dark place. Like I talked to you about this before, but and then after about 8 months of that, like I just started walking again, rehabbing my leg. And then I just got out of it by listening to like Brendon Burchard, anything personal development related, Brendon Burchard, Tony Robbins, Ed Milet, all these different people, Lewis Howes. And what I attribute a lot of I give a lot of credit to getting out of that space by getting into the personal development, back into personal development.
Yeah, I was going back and like looking through some of my old journals a little bit ago, and I wrote something that said, the darkness by which we are all sometimes embraced instills within us the very measure of who we are.
Yeah.
Because
Ooh, that's good.
when the chips are down,
yeah,
that's when you really know what's important,
sure,
what you're passionate about, what's going to get you up, how much, if you're going to get knocked down 6 times, or do you have it within you to stand up 7?
Absolutely.
Where do you think that drive for you came from?
I just I was super fortunate to have like a really supportive family.
Well, you also have like a very strong like work ethic.
Yeah.
Like, did your dad have that?
Oh, my dad's a freak when it comes to work.
Yeah.
He owns a landscape company, and he was a police officer, became a landscape contractor. And so he worked his ass off. Like he worked really, really hard.
Yeah, because that's a sun up to sundown.
Oh yeah, building that business and just like, digging trenches, all that kind of stuff, laying sod, piping, all that stuff. If the weather's bad, you still got to go do it. Like you don't make money if the job's not complete. It's just a lot. And so his work ethic, my mom coming from the Philippines, coming out here, becoming a nurse, and her work ethic, but really like my family support. Like anytime I said, hey, I want to open up a gym. Oh, you should do it. Oh, I want to be an actor. Oh, you could do it. I want to write a book. You should do it. Like no one ever told me no. And so I've always had
I had the exact opposite upbringing. I was like, you can't do that.
Yeah. And so I attribute a lot of that, like getting up and getting after it, is because they believed in me, and they were just like, or at least they said they did,
Yeah.
And so when you have people like that in your corner, that's why we're going back to what we just talked about. Right. Like you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with, or the people you hang out with, is because it's true. Like I can't let them down. I'm supposed to change my family tree. Like I'm supposed to become someone.
Right.
And these people believe in me, and it doesn't matter how long it takes you. Like some people take months like me, and some people are a couple days. Some people are a couple hours and they're in the dud. They get up and they're like ready to rock. But as long as you get back up, like I think a lot of that is just you need to surround yourself around people who care about you. For sure.
I can't agree more. One of the questions that I get asked a lot, like I'll get hit up on LinkedIn, or people email the website or something like that. Like, hey, I'm looking to do this. Like, can you mentor me? Or, hey, I'm interested in doing this. Like, what advice do you have? Or what? I have always been of the opinion that like you don't choose your mentors choose you.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of paying it, all of us, I think, like to pay it forward, but we're more likely to pay it forward to someone that we kind of see ourselves in.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Do you have that same relationship with mentorship, or are like do you pitch yourself to mentors, or do you reach out to people? Like I always kind of lead with like hey, I love the work you're doing. How can I help?
Sure.
And then the relationship kind of develops from there.
Sure.
What is your philosophy on mentorship, and also your approach?
Yeah, it depends on, it's situational. Like with Edwin, our CEO, Edwin Arroyave, if people don't know who that is, his wife was is Teddy Mellencamp. She was on the Real Housewives of Beverly
we can
Hills.
we'll link them in the show.
Yeah,
so people can learn more.
I was going through that rough time and getting into personal development. It's crazy how when you put attention and intention into what you want to do, because what happened was I decided, hey, I want to make a change, right? And however many months, 8 months it was till I decided that, like I was starting to watch, like I said, Brendon Burchard, Tony Robbins, all these people. What happened was the algorithm on YouTube, I was rehabbing my leg, I was on the Stairmaster, was showing me a bunch of stuff that they think I would like, right? And there just happened to be a video that said interview with the $40 million Beverly Hills Housewives husband, whatever, between Grant Cardone and Edwin Arroyave. I watched that video. It was about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, something like that. I get off and I was so inspired by his story of adversity and overcoming all the shit he had to overcome that I just DM'd him. Next thing you know, he DM'd me his number. He said, give me a call. We were on the phone for 2.5 hours. Next thing you know, I'm at his house. Next thing you know, I'm doing this. Next thing you know, I'm his right-hand guy in our business. Next thing you know, he's like my best friend, mentor. So it was just like, I put attention and intention into becoming better, and the universe, God, whatever people want to believe, showed up for me, and that's what happened.
Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, I have it in my DMs. It was like, it was like, I need to get on my feet. I was in Northern California and I was going back to Southern California, and I'm like, I'm going to become an actor. I think that's what sounds like something I would do, right? Crazy. I was like, sounds like a good job, right? Whatever.
I'm charismatic.
But I need to do something in the meantime. What am I really good at in the meantime? What am I good at? I'm good at fitness and nutrition. Like, that's what I graduated college for, and that's what I've been doing, right, for 10 years. So I DM'd him saying, hey, your story lit a fire in my ass. I'm moving back down to LA next week. Would love to talk to you. Would love to pick your brain. And if you need any training or any personal training, I would love to talk to you about that too. It went, being the recruiting man he is, like, it went a whole different direction. And I was like, oh shit, this kind of looks exciting. He's like, what do you want to do? Like, what is it that you want to do? What's your end goal? I was like, I'd like to speak. I'd like to speak. And at the time, I didn't know what I wanted to speak on. I think it was more of an ego thing. And he's like, well, you're going to need more than fitness, nutrition under your belt. You're going to need mindset, how to build culture, how to know what sales are and how to drive sales, how to talk about money. The more you can talk about, the bigger audience you can talk to. He's like, why don't you try this out? And I was like, sure. Like, I didn't have anything to lose. He sent me out to Philadelphia to work with someone. And then I didn't know I was going door to door. And I was like, fuck, I'm never telling anybody this shit. This is crazy. You know, like, I just lived in Dubai. And now I have an iPad. I'm getting dropped off in Bridgeton, New Jersey, in the middle of nowhere. They don't even have Uber. It was like a one stoplight town. And you're asking me to go knock doors from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. during the summer. It's either, I don't know if you've ever been to Philly.
I grew up in Philly.
I'm sorry.
I love it.
It is either hot and muggy or rainy, hot and muggy.
But and good sports and great food.
Oh my gosh.
No, the people we're not the best.
I'm just kidding. I'm sure there's great, amazing people.
We say brotherly love, but we don't mean it.
Yeah, but I had the worst experience door to door. Not the worst, like the most, I'm going to make you fucking tough indoor. So I'm kind of grateful for it.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. And I went.
You want to get a lot of rejection and door slammed in your face.
It wasn't any rejection. It was like, I'm going to freaking. Yeah. And so basically but I fell in love with it, dude. It was crazy. First day I knocked 144 doors. No one let me in their home. Next day I sold 3. The rest is history. I kind of like figured it out. And then I would sell like 5 to 7 every week. Of just walking and knocking every week. And then got rookie of the year that year. And just like, I think, like, going back to your question about the mentorship, I earned my spot of mentorship. He chose me. Yeah. Because same thing with me. Like, I have all these people coming through my organization. I wish I had all the time to go to each individual and do one-on-ones and help them out. It just doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? Like, someone has to. Are you showing up to the meetings? Are you showing up to the calls? Are you listening? Are you engaged? Are you trying? Are you working the hours? Because why would I even spend my time helping you if you're not even doing the basic shit? Yeah. Like, just show up. And then when you start to get results, which you will, then we can talk about that next level, about what's next for you. You know what I mean? And I think that's what happened with Edwin. Yeah. It was like, hey, you know? Yeah,
you touched on something really interesting. I think people sometimes mistake the origins of passion.
Sure.
I think people think, oh, I'm going to start doing something. I'm going to be really passionate about it. More often than not, what I have found, what others I have talked to have found, is that you start doing something and you suck at it.
Sure.
Over time, you start to get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And there's that really good balance of challenge, difficult, right? Sure. And then next thing you know, you're like, I fucking love doing this. I'm really passionate about this. Like I want to see how far I can take this.
Yeah.
The passion comes on the back end of the work.
Yeah. Like you don't, just to stop real quick, you don't always have to be passionate about what you do, but you can find passion within what you do.
100%. And I think that's a really good way to frame it. There's another, I had this conversation with Justin the other day, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's some people say, oh, I felt called to do this, or I felt called to do this, or, I always felt it was my purpose to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a difference between purpose and calling?
Erwin talks about this, or had talked about this in a mastermind with me. It's like your purpose will change over time.
I agree.
Calling, I don't know. Like your calling could be situational, like if someone's on the side of the road and you have the ability to help that person, you're being called to go and help that person.
Yeah.
But if you can't help that person, you might just keep driving. Like we're in a situation where the building here, there's 10 people in here and there's somebody with a gun, but you're the master when it comes to weapons and protecting people. You might be called to stay here and make sure everyone's safe and go. Me with a torn Achilles, my ass might have to go down the hall and bust a ride to get to a safe space because I can't do anything.
Yeah. No, that's a very good,
I don't know.
I kind of always felt called to serve, to be of service.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Whether that, and then the purpose, how I kind of like fulfilled that calling is kind of like how I quantified my purpose. So that was for a long time being a protector, right? Then it was like being a soldier. Then it was being a protector again. Then it was kind of evolved into this like consultancy writer author thing. And now I kind of feel myself elevating more into kind of like an elder statesman, like been there, done that. Here are the lessons I've learned over my life. Let me pass those on to you, but also let me learn some of the lessons that you've learned so that I can have them help me. It's almost become more of this like, and that's why I love
Yeah.
And that's why I really love like the podcast space, because I get to like sit down uninterrupted and really drop in with either friends, like you and I would never get to, you and I have had lunches and dinners and workouts, and we've gone shooting and we've shot this shit and we've had some like really great discussions, but it was always, there was still a phone. There was still I got to be out of here at this. There was a server coming to the table. There's always those distractions. Whereas like sitting down in one-on-ones like this are rare, but I get so much out of them. And awesome. in learning from you and in getting to share some of my experiences, I think is this new purpose that I'm trying to define.
That's amazing. Yeah. I always said people that do especially educational podcasts, stuff that help you grow, it's like, dude, they get the best of all the worlds. Like you get to go practice your networking skills, right? You got to go find the awesome people that you're inspired to go talk to. You get to practice your conversational skills, right? Because you want to ask the right questions. You want to switch it up. You want to make sure they're the right questions for the audience. So they're getting something different. You get to practice your just like one-on-one time, like your focus and energy, like management into just listening and sharing, right? And then you get to like soak up all their knowledge because it's the questions that you're asking.
Right.
It's not what they're asking. It's what you're asking, what you want to know. So you're just like, it's the best.
Yeah. It's almost like being selfish helps you be selfless.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is nice.
Yeah. That's cool.
So you meet with Edwin, he takes you under his wing, you kind of come up the ranks, you go from being, number 2 to number 1 to, kind of starting your own venture out here with everything. Where do you want that to take you?
I think going back to calling.
Yeah.
I like to speak, and whether I'm good at it or not,
well, you are good at it.
I want to get, thank you, but I want to get better at communicating. And I think that area alone, just from mentors, like mastering the art of communication will take you further than anything else, me further than anything else. Like I see it where I lack in it in my business, in my personal life, just in areas where I lack. And I'm like, man, if I learned how to do that, wow. It could, and so this is, I think Skyline and the collective is one, gives me a ton of fulfillment when I watch people like at our last, at our summit, we had 60 plus people cross the stage for 100K earners, and then 250K earners, and 500,000, and then plus and whatever, right? And you're just like, wow, their lives, I remember who they were before this.
Right.
And you're like, you get to be a part of that. The fulfilling piece is so nice, which also ties into my purpose of helping others see something bigger than they've ever thought, and then go and chasing that, right? And just like watching them grow, it's like the most fulfilling thing in the world, right? So I think the Skyline and the collective, my organization or our organization, is touches the fulfilling part, the impact part, the piece that helps me become a better leader. Because and this part might take a little bit of time, but when you get into my organization or our organization, you're going to start out and you're going to have to master the art of selling, right? And people think, oh yeah, it's just a sales organization. Let me just share real quick. It's so much more than that. We're a leadership development company fueled by smart home security. So you master the art of selling. You have a mentor, and then you got to learn how to teach or how to recruit. Then you got to learn how to train. Then you got to learn how to lead. Then you're going to be making a ridiculous amount of money. So you got to learn how to manage your finances. Then you got to learn how to scale. Then you got to learn how to sustain the growth. Then you got to learn how to duplicate yourself and teach other people to do the same thing. And then in order for people to continuously follow you, you have to provide more value, because they can get it. They say, hey, I've learned what I've learned. They're gone. So then you got to learn how to provide more value. It's a non-ending cycle of growth. And it's just happens to be through smart home security. It just happens to be, and people don't see that. And I'm like, dude, if you are into growth, if your number one thing is to continuously grow, you get to build your own business, learn everything on how to scale, learn, sell, train, all that good stuff, how to manage your money, how to teach other people, how to invest, how to get a mental performance coach, how to get a new mentors, how to just continue growing. This is the best place, in my opinion. Right. And so it fulfills all those things for me and the people I bring into my organization. But my bigger picture is to create a personal brand. Like I would love one day like I said, I love speaking, right? And mastering communication. I love to one day go and do my own masterminds with people outside of our org. I'd love to run seminars. I'd love to do mentorship and coaching. I'd love to go and speak, to organizations. I love seeing people's faces light up if I can share my story of adversity and overcoming, and watching them and actually getting a call or a text or an email or a DM the next week or a month later saying, hey, your story helped me out tremendously. I can't thank you enough. This is what I've been able to do. Dude, that's insane. And whatever that is, a gift or not giving up or whatever that is, there is no better feeling in the world than that, So I think there's a whole other sector for people that don't want to do it through smart home, And I think that this is what gave me the confidence and helped me build the skills to be able to go and do that thing.
Yeah. So were you prior to that sales exposure, the door knocking, the leadership development, were you as personable and as charismatic then as you are now? Or do you think that's helped to work, it's like I was always in shape, but I started working with a trainer and now I'm in great shape.
Yeah, that's how it was. It was like I was always pretty charismatic, I would say. People would tell me you have so much charisma. It's like a science. I knew how to sell, but I didn't know how to teach the process of selling, right? And so now this helps me develop the process of how I show up for people. I knew how to recruit, just basically being charismatic and sharing my results. But now it's I can go and dial in and be like, oh, I'm recruiting a certain type of person.
Right.
So I need to mold myself into that person in order to attract that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's crazy. It's like I would just break it down to like a science. You know what I mean? But yeah,
it's a process.
It's like you just become more aware of how you're showing up and who you are. That's what I've learned. But I've always been charismatic, I would say.
It's a very putting it into like a step 1, step 2, step 3, like I've been doing bench press my entire life. Right? I made the mistake of telling Kelly my fitness goals for the year, and now she's actually making me earn them. So we go over to we're going to do bench press, but now we're starting to go like a lot heavier than we've been going. So she's like, okay, by the numbers. She's like, sit down, lay down, do this, like lock in your feet. Now when you push it up, I was like, oh, I never realized like I was just doing this, but I didn't realize like how boom, 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 this, then that, this, then that. When it comes to like at your level now,
God, I shouldn't have brought the sparkling because I'm just burping over here. Sorry if you hear.
We'll edit those out. I'll make sure that will be your pull.
Should I keep it? Should keep it, right?
That'll be the pull quote that'll be your pull quote. When we said liquid death, we meant your breath.
Oh man.
On the recruiting angle, everyone wants to be rich. Everyone wants to be successful. Everyone's like, oh, this is all I have to do. Oh, great. Where do I sign up? So I can't imagine the sheer volume of potential candidates that you are presented with. Sure. So what are you looking for? You're like, what is the ideal candidate? What are the characteristics? What are the traits? Is it their personality? Is it their drive? Is it their hustle? How does that come across? What are you looking for?
Yeah. So I, believe it or not, now in my business, people just come to me. I do not do any reaching out, say, hey, you would do so good at this. The reason why is they're watching. Like, you have to share it. Like, for those of you listening right now and you are in a business where you need to recruit, don't share only the shit that makes you look good. You got to share everything.
Yeah.
Everything. People see my journey from when I started, and I have people in my business now that I wish I would have had then. And I'm so grateful they're in here now, but like, you have to share every aspect of your journey. Gary Vee was such a good, like, Gary Vee,
of course.
So good at this, sharing wine library back in the day on YouTube, and just every day, boom, 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 new content. And now you see him completely like same hustle, same like vision, completely different environment, completely like look around him, like look at the people that want to be in his, look at all the people that are all in with him, right? His audience. But he got that by sharing from way back in the day, starting out,
Oh, yeah, like look at like the Jeff Bezos photo from like when he looked like a 35-year-old soccer dad, like balding in a basement with a Amazon banner over his head to what he has now.
Yeah, and I think that is so important for people. Like, you need to share the struggles, and people don't want to until they get to his place of success where they feel they're successful. Then they go back and like, damn, I wish I would have shared this. I wish I would have documented this,
Yeah, Hormozi was just talking about this, Alex Hormozi. He was talking about like, that's a big problem with a lot of like the online like successful entrepreneur mentorship space is like, I get up at 5 a.m. and I do a gratitude for 30 minutes, and then I do a red sauna, and then I do a cold plunge. And it's like, yeah, I do that now that I'm rich and I get to do what I love. But like for 20 years, it was I got up and like put out flyers in every parking lot I could find.
Yeah.
You have to share that part of the journey, because what you don't want is all this new blood coming in thinking that they're going to be an overnight success.
They got to go buy a sauna and a cold plunge for their home and a home gym. Yeah. And then, dude, you get it. Just get it.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly not what you need. Like you need to do the work.
Yeah. And by sharing even if it's not a lot of struggle, they're going to just feel like, if it's authentic, they're going to feel how you're showing up now, like how you talk, how you speak, how you listen, like how you engage. They're going to know something's different about you, but they're not going to know shit if you don't share.
Absolutely. Even you see this with comics, right? Like go back and look at like Rogan's like early 90s like stand-up routine.
Yeah.
And then the eloquence at which he speaks now.
Yeah.
It's a night and day difference.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's an overnight success, but it took 20 years to get there.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things? So now that you know that, like, you don't necessarily have to recruit, the candidates kind of present themselves.
Sure.
Is there a certain, what are you looking for? What is that?
It's not that I'm looking for something, but I could tell, going through so many, I could tell who's going to be really good if they have the work ethic.
Is it
athletes, people that have children, like they have a strong why, like family, people that are, how they ask questions, how they're like showing up, like in the meetings, people that support others. Like you could tell someone's like, man, I want that, but how positive, like their positivity, like it kind of bleeds out
attitude.
of them. Attitude. You just kind of feel it, the energy. There's,
well, you just listed like 4 things. But like a strong why, like, are these people who are like a fly by night? If it gets hard, they're going to leave, or do they actually have something they're going to work for?
Yeah.
Like a family, or they are responsible for.
Yeah, because what's going to happen is this shiny can right here, it's going to look real shiny until it's dull. And when that needs polishing, are you going to polish it, or are you going to go find the next shiny thing?
They're going to go find the new shiny thing.
And if they go find the new shiny thing, they're going to do that for the rest of their life until
you and I all know people that do that.
Yeah, it's like adversity, right?
Yeah.
Like how your character unfolds during the times of adversity, during the times that you're in the shitter, you're in the dump, and the only way out is to put in the work. And like we just went through this in my business. Like we took a huge hit in my business, right? And I look around and I'm like, there's some people that are here that I wasn't expecting. I'm going to give those people attention because they're not here because of the intermediate or the immediate, hit. They're like, that immediate, like, what is it called? Long-term versus immediate gratification, right? They're here they see a bigger picture, right? And so those people, I just notice everything.
Yeah, like, I saw that in the military too. Like at Ranger School, you see this with the SEALs. Will talk about this with BUDS, Air Force with the PJs. It's like you get there on day one. Maybe let's say there's 100 of you, right?
Yeah.
And of that 100, there are just going to be some PT studs.
Yeah.
Guys who are just naturally gifted athletes who ran track in high school or had scholarships to here, there, or everywhere. But after about a day or two, when everyone's beat down, and some of those guys they're really good at performing under ideal circumstances.
Yeah.
But you put them under duress, it's a completely different ballgame.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, that guy you thought was going to be the super stud is doing the duffel bag drag to the shack of shame.
Yeah, dude. I think I watched the Netflix thing last year. It was Cornico, Virginia, the Buds. And you see some badass, jacked, like hardcore dudes. And then you see the one person that made it at the end was not that. It was the guy that was hardcore, badass, jacked in his brain and his mindset and his
heart.
Like
that like Goggins mentality.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like I was never the biggest, strongest, fastest, smartest guy, but I had good work ethic.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, all I got to do is not quit. All I got to do is
show up.
Yeah. It was like, best advice anyone ever gave me was tend to the part of the garden you can touch.
I like that.
Tend to the part of the garden. Like if you try to take it en total, it's not going to happen. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to get distracted. You're going to try to do too many things. But can you see the next step in front of you? Take that.
I like that.
What about the next one? Take that. What do I have to do to get to the next minute? I just got to sit here and freeze. Done. I can do that. What's the next minute entail? Get out. I can do that. Just break it down.
I like that.
But I think you're so you have the athletes who have, that drive, that work ethic,
competitive.
They're going to be competitive, but also they know that they got to do the work, right? Because they've all done the 2-a-days, they've all done the, the hard work. You have the strong why people, right? The people who have a responsibility to themselves or to others.
Mostly to others.
Yeah. Well, that's always the thing, right? Like, my mom like abhors violence and would never do anything for, to protect, me or my sisters. Right. But you go after one of the grandkids and she's going to tear your head off. Yeah. Like that mother line will come out pretty damn fast. Then you have the interrogate or the interrogatories. Like these are the people that really ask like a lot of questions. And it's not just that they're asking questions, but it's the people who are asking the right questions.
They're engaged.
It's not like, well, how much money am I going to make? It's like, well, tell me about like what's my earning potential? What's the career elevation
plan look like?
What is, I can do. So if I do this for a year, is this meritocracy or is this like, time in service? Like which one is rewarded more? So those are really important things. People who understand the, so you said team dynamic, but I think that also the ability to operate independently, but also in support of a team.
Sure.
And then you have, I'm sorry, what was the last one?
Attitude.
I wrote attrition.
Yeah.
But I meant attitude.
The ones that don't attrit.
Right. But I mean, showing up with the right kind of like work ethic that people want to work with. That like, are you someone like you that I want to be around, that I want to engage with, that I want to talk to and learn from and get something back from, or are you a fucking asshole that no one can stand around? Because even if you are a top tier 1 performer and you're a fucking dick, no one's going to want to work with you.
It's so exhausting. You can be. I've had in the past so many badass people that didn't do personal development. And it's like they have so much potential, but they let their mind get ahead of them, and then they let their mind out of their fucking mouth. And it's like, the
mind to mouth interlocutor has ruined more careers and relationships.
And it's just like, we're
going to put that in.
But it's just like exhausting for everybody. It's like a vampire energy sucker. Like, I'd rather you couldn't pay me enough money to like not have to deal with those people.
You and I have all been in social situations where everything's going really well, and then someone shows up and we're like,
"Yep,
5 o'clock already. All right,
gotta go."
I got an early squash game. Yeah. Going back to the team dynamic, one of the things I hear as a challenge facing organizations as whole, like on the human resources side, is that we have a tendency in America to be very quick to hire, but very slow to fire. When ideally it would be very slow to hire, very quick to fire. When it comes to people who are not performing to your standard, are you someone who will hey, this is the standard and you're not meeting it, you're out? Or are you more like, talk to me why you're not meeting the standard, let me help to see if I can get you there or above it? Or
they have all the tools to do so. They have all the tools to meet the standard.
Right. Well, so we were just talking about like the person who is like, man, you have so much potential if you just stop sabotaging your own success. Yeah,
like I'll reach out for sure. But a lot of the times there's like a mental checklist of like, hey, are you on the Friday mastermind calls or the masterclass calls every other week with Ed Milet that Edwin pays a lot of money for? Are you on our divisional calls?
You guys have Ed Milet coaching your staff?
It's
I'll come work for you.
Yeah, it's what is it called? It's some program he runs.
Really?
But yeah, him and Edwin are good friends. So
that's so cool.
Which is awesome. Like Edwin's circle now has gotten crazy. My circle's gotten crazy because of, just things and from him helping me.
The fact that I invite people onto this podcast to say yes still shocks me.
No, yeah, it's like crazy. Your circle, it's just like what it is where we go, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, so are they on the masterclass calls? They wanting to learn? Are they on the divisional calls that I run once a month? Are they on the Tuesday national sales calls? Do they get on the trainings with their organization, their office? Are they showing up on Tuesday, Thursday meetings? If you're not doing that, like I'll maybe have a conversation like, dude, you got to show up. But I'm not gonna, like, I don't want to have to beg you. Like, this isn't something I'm trying to make you do. I'll go find someone else. Like, it's called abundance.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere in my life. It's everywhere in everyone's lives if they put energy and attention into it. And it's like, I don't, like the way I used to see it is like, I have to have these people. Like, no, I have to please these people. It'll mess you up mentally so bad. Like you need to make sure you take care of yourself first before you can go and take care of others. So it's like, you're not doing these things. There's not much to talk about. Like you're going to say, you're going to tell me what's wrong. And I'm going to say, well, you're not even showing up for yourself. How do you expect others to show up for you? Like, how do you like expect anything to happen, you know? So like, let's start here and then we can have a conversation after we start here and we stay consistent here.
Yeah, I used to see this. Not so much. Well, if you're working in the military, you're not going to get fired. You're just going to get moved somewhere. And if you're working for the government, they're just going to like send you to Alaska because it takes like an act of Congress to fire you.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got into the private sector, I started seeing a lot of people who were those like high performers, but just had like a really shitty attitude.
Sure.
But they kind of felt that they were invincible because I'm not replaceable.
Sure.
Like I'm a pillar here. I bring too much value, blah, 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 blah. And dude, they're gone the next day. And their position's backfilled and
mm-hmm.
everyone's doing just as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one cares.
No.
And I think that can kind of be, if more people just accepted
mm-hmm.
that, hey man, yeah, you are replaceable.
Yeah.
And like, no matter who you are, what you do, where you do it, or who you do it for,
mm-hmm.
if you fell over and died, we're going to get someone else to. Do you ever watch The Bear?
I'm not.
TV show The Bear. So there's a scene in season 2 for those of you who I'm talking about the Forks episode where this guy Richie, so staging in a restaurant is when if you work in a restaurant and they send you to another restaurant to kind of learn how they do things so that you can bring it back to your restaurant. It's kind of like an inter restaurant relationship. Hey, you know, we went to CIA here together. You've got a restaurant, I've got a restaurant. You send someone to me, I'll send someone to you. It's like a farm team for restaurants, right? So this one guy one guy from this restaurant that's about to open is going to this restaurant that's like a top tier like Michelin starred restaurant. And on the first day they have him like just polishing forks all day, polishing forks. And he's kind of getting an attitude about it. It's like, I didn't come here to polish forks. He's like, if you don't like, I'm just going to leave. He's like, dude, we got people like lined up around the block who would kill for the opportunity to polish forks here. Yeah. He's like, they're like, what about Kobe? He's like, we don't have that problem. Like, we are the ones that people like our wait list for the restaurant is like 500 people long.
Yeah.
Our application for dishwashers, we have the best dishwashers in the world. Like, we can replace you polishing forks really easy. Mm-hmm. It's an honor for you to be here. Mm-hmm. Treat it like such. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of mentality is kind of being lost in this younger TikTok, don't you know who I am? Give me my bags now generation.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's time will come where they have to face adversity, and everyone's time will come when they're going to be put in a situation where they can be replaced. I promise you that. Whether it's a TikTok star with a new TikTok star, or if it's, you know, your job for someone else that wants your job, everyone will come to that point. And when they do, their character is what's going to save them or make them drown.
What do you do to uphold your own character?
You know, I'm right now, you know, I've really, not to get biblical or, you know, super religious, but I am like turning to God real heavily. You know, I'm of Christian faith, and I have mentors in that space too. And I think for me, it's like been night and day difference. It's been just like how I show up, just how I'm like being, you know, it's like I have my flaws. Dude, I used to get so angry. I still do sometimes. I get so mad and it just comes out. But like as I lean more into God and read the Bible and show up at church and whatnot, and it's been, for me, it's been personally, I could feel my character being raised to a higher standard.
Has your relationship with faith been a lifelong journey?
It has, but I never had that. I didn't have the relationship with God. I believed in him. You know, I was baptized a Catholic. I believed in God, but I didn't have a strong relationship with him, because in order to have a strong relationship, you got to pray, you got to show up for him, you know, like he shows up for you. And so I just believed that he was there, you know, but putting intention and attention into that space, and it's been doing wonders for me. So
I love that for you.
it's new. It's newer, not new, but newer. Yeah.
Yeah.
6 months, 7 months.
Is that a relationship that gets renewed in times of difficulty, or is that a relationship that is
always,
there?
it's just there.
Ever present?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good and bad.
Yeah. Well,
I don't see anything bad though, like
no. Well, I meant like there's no atheists in foxholes.
Yeah, but I'm saying like even then I don't look at things as bad. It's like what's the lesson I need to learn here,
dude?
Like if you ask, like for instance,
I cannot agree with you more.
If I pray, and I say, hey, give me the strength, like whatever. Like if I'm asking to become a better communicator, what's going to come in return? A lot of adversity to where I have to show up as a better communicator.
Yeah.
Not, you're just great communicator. No, he's going to put you in a situation where you need to become a better communicator.
I'm going to ask you this question on communication.
Mm-hmm.
If something is misunderstood,
mm-hmm.
is it the fault of the communicator or is it the fault of the receiver?
I don't think there's a fault. I think it's just, it depends who, like, wait, let me see. How do I answer that question?
If I tell you to go down 2 blocks, go straight 2 blocks down and make a left, and you're going to see it on the right, and you go 2 blocks down and make a right and look for it on the left, is that I didn't explain it to you clearly, or do you not understand what I said?
Oh man, that is a great question. I would say
you answer it. I can argue both sides.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So this is a big thing in the military, right? Hey, I'm going to tell you. So if I tell you to go down 2 blocks and then make a left, and that's going to be on the right, and you go down 2 blocks and go right, and it's on the left, that's my fault for telling you, because in the military they do what's called a back brief.
Okay.
So if I say go down the street, go straight for 2 blocks, make a left, and it's going to be on the right. Okay. You go, okay. I go, what did I just tell you?
Yeah, you said go down the street, 2 blocks, make a left, it's going to be on the right.
Right. Now you have now if you go down 2 blocks and make a right and look for it on the left, now it's your fault.
Yeah, exactly. I have to. Right.
So it's the communicator's job to make sure, and this is just from a strictly military vantage point, but I'm curious to see how you would apply it to business. From a military vantage point, I do not let you leave until I am certain you understand what I said and what I meant and how I said it.
Got it. Oh yeah, then that makes sense.
In the civilian world, it's, well, I thought you meant this.
Yeah.
And it kind of is this blame shifting bullshit.
I would say the communicator has more of he has more of the responsibility because he has all the details.
Right. And you want to make sure that, and I know especially for someone like me, especially like when my ADD was untreated, I would go on, I'd start talking about a million different things at once and expect for you to follow along. So those things like those back briefs just really helped me to ensure that what was being communicated was understood so that there was no question in how it would be directed.
Sure.
But with your team, how do you ensure that your directives are understood and are being executed in a way and to the standard that you expect?
Yeah, just make sure my leadership knows. I have a call every week or every week and some every other week with my leadership, like one-on-ones.
Right.
And then we have a call every week with all the leadership at once. And I always repeat, I'm like, does that make sense?
Right.
Are we sure? Does anyone have any questions? And then they can roll that out to their teams. Because if I'm doing that, I'm not duplicating myself.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to be talking to the guy who just got hired. You want to have a team of teams.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's said twice a week for sure.
That's good.
And then we talk about it throughout the week. But yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Nico, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I end every podcast with 5 questions.
Let's
5 random questions. And I'm going to ask them to you right now.
Let's go.
All right. Question number 1. When you were a kid, what was like an activity or something that you liked to do that you would just get lost in?
Hide and seek.
Hide and seek?
Yeah.
Were you the hider or the seeker?
The hider. I'm the best, dude. I was like hiding in crazy places. I was with my friends. I was fast, so no one could catch me. So I knew as long as I was,
so you knew the good hiding spots, and then they would find you.
Yeah, exactly.
So hide and seek was your game.
And street football and hide and go seek was always my.
Number 2, if you a parallel universe type of thing. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
I would go full force into the personal development space and write a book. even though I don't like riding, I'd find a ghostwriter. I would be sharing my journey more with people and find ways I can contribute in that way.
I like it. Number 3, what is something that you have for like a long time believed to be true, but recently found out wasn't, or last time you changed your mind on something?
Can you repeat that?
Sure. What is something that, when I was a kid or for a long time, I believed this, but as soon as I started being out in the world or making money and having business, I realized that wasn't true. Or just something that just you recently changed your mind about. I used to believe that water wasn't wet, and now I believe it's dry.
Yeah, I think what we talked about earlier is like you have a purpose, and your purpose is to do a certain thing, but it could change over time.
Yeah. I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, number 4.
Okay.
Aliens.
Yeah, 100%.
Fact or fiction?
Fact.
Fact that they're out there, or like fact that they're like there's like crafted
they're
Area
out
51.
there. If we can't even get outside of our what do you call it?
Universe?
We can't get outside of our universe and our galaxy.
I have no idea.
Worse. We can't get outside our galaxy, but there's millions of galaxies.
I don't even know if I can.
How is there nothing else living? There's
definitely other life out there.
Yeah, for
whether
sure.
It's biological or intelligent or whatever. I mean more like, are we being visited? Are there underground networks of lizard people that are actually the cabal, like managing the world around us?
I don't know if they're here yet.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
The number 1 art. Listen, I was a big X-Files guy, like when I was in like high school and college, and then I joined the army, and I was like, yeah, there's no way these people could hide shit. Like, go spend 2 hours at the DMV and tell me that organization can, conduct an overarching conspiracy.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Final question.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a billboard and you could put anything on it, what would it be?
What I have in my backyard. Vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others.
I love it.
Yeah.
Nico, people want to learn more about you. Instagram, website, where can they go?
Go to Nico Van Slyke, at Nico Van Slyke on Instagram. I will be coming out shortly with a podcast, which I'll have Spencer on.
Ooh. What's your podcast going to be called?
And I don't have a name yet. Yeah, so no name yet, but I don't know if it's a podcast, a YouTube. It might just be shorts. It might be like things that get cut up. I don't know. Yeah. We're just kind of going to roll with it.
I like it.
But yeah, at Nico Van Slyke on Instagram is probably the best spot.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, my brother.
Yeah.
I'll see you soon.
Let's go, baby. That was awesome. That was amazing. It's got my hands